Greetings everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Tankwa Conservation National Park here in Planet Zoo. It is an absolute pleasure to have you with me, the Beard, and today we're going to take on quite a large build. We're going to be, if you've been taking a look at that pretty little taster screenshots there and flybys that came through before we started this all, a very large habitat for three hippopotamus or hippopotami. One of my favorite animals and a scary one too if you've ever met one in the wild. So before we get talking about hippopotamuses, because you know we love talking about the animals here on this channel, I just want to talk a little bit about this habitat that we're building here. I really wanted to make something that fitted in with the pygmy hippo habitat, which is right behind us there, which is you'll see a little bit more in detail. I wanted to make it feel like it was sort of blending in. I wanted to give the feel that one was walking down into a very long sort of waist-height water area, so that you could see the hippos walking along the bottom of this lovely sort of huge river-scape that I'm going to create here along with another waterfall. I must say the hippos in this game need rather a large amount of space. In fact, I underestimated severely the amount of space I was creating, both the depth and breadth of the swimmable water as well as the traversable land. So at some point in this speed build you will see me expand this habitat a little bit beyond what it looks like it'll be right now. Right now it's actually quite contained. It gets a lot bigger and takes on a lot more of a grander kind of nature later on. We also add in quite a few guest facilities, some spots to grab something to drink and eat. We need to do some toilets. Someone please remind me to put some toilets in. I always forget about those. So it was quite a build. There was a lot of time spent looking at the trying to get the ground right for the water as well. But yeah, it came out well. So now that we've laid the sort of rough outline of the habitat on the screen, let's just talk about the hippopotamus, who will be the eventual habitats or inhabitants of this habitat. Obviously they are a super large mammal. They're native, I suppose, to the rivers of sub-Saharan Africa, again the part of the world that I come from. There are none down the road from me. You need to find them in wild areas, normally game parks, to be honest. There are only about 115,000 of them left in the wild, so definitely a vulnerable species. And that comes from many threats, obviously loss of habitat being the hugest sort of threat to them, the biggest threat to them. Conflict with humans over land, and then hunting is a problem. I know that they're also poached, and they have ivory teeth, which also obviously makes them a target for the poachers, which is unfortunate because they are magnificent animals when you do see them in the wild. They're very large, as I said. They're water dwelling. I think they dwell a lot in the water. They spend a lot more time in the water than you would think they do. They have these long protruding teeth and these strange nostrils and eyes that sit on the top of their sort of snout, which enables them to kind of like park on the bottom of rivers and lakes and kind of observe, which is really quite a nice lifestyle actually. And as I said, that's partly why I think that there's vulnerable. This part of the world is getting drier, so good river habitats are few and far between. It makes it difficult for these guys to survive, particularly because, as I said, they're huge, they're large. I mean, males up to 5 meters long. They can weigh up to 4,500 kilograms. Which is, you don't want that running at you. And I can tell you right now, if there's any animal that I'm actually really scared of, it's the hippopotamus. I would not want to face a hippopotamus. If you had to ask me out of those sort of really big Africa animals, which one I'm most scared of, it's them, man. You encounter them in a river, which is their territory, and you're a goner, man. They are a vicious, vicious, vicious animal. And or when they need to. I suppose they're not vicious; they're defensive. It's a different way to go. They're not going to purposely attack you, but yeah, they're not fun to get in the way of. In fact, actually, they graze at night. They come out the rivers at night when it's not so hot and the sun isn't beating down on them, and they eat grass along the sides of the rivers. And if you, there's always said, like I was always told when I was out bush camping, to make sure that you never get between a hippo and a water source. You block a hippo's path to water and you are going to get charged, which is not going to be fun, trust me. I think, and I do need to actually, I should have done some research before recording this, the hippos kill a fairly large amount of people actually a year. I think they've, if I remember correctly, and I might be wrong on this, someone might want to Google this, but if I remember, they do have, I think, they kill more people than lions, I think. I may be wrong, stand to be corrected, but yeah, they are in the wild a particularly dangerous animal. Having said that, they are really very social. They interact with each other a lot, but although they don't, although they're around in these big groups, they don't actually form close groups or bonds. So it's kind of more just where the water is, I suppose. I do know that mature males can become sort of semi-solitary, they roam a bit, they become very territorial, and when you find those big males, you'll find that all the rest, the groups of females will sort of follow in, and then the sort of non-challenging males, the males that don't want to fight, they might let them cruise there and part. Females, I think they generally move and choose to lose, or choose to move and live in places where their quality of life will be highest. So, the best spots of the river are good places to hold onto as territory if you're a male or females. I think when they're in water, as I said, they're generally friendly to each other, but I think they get pretty aggressive on land. Separating a hippo from water, even if you're not a human, if you're just a hippo, is apparently not such a good idea. Not a lot of fun to get away of a hippo. Fun fact though, the hippopotamus' closest living relative is actually whales and dolphins, which is like, it kind of makes sense when you think about it, but not the most obvious thing in the world. It really, really, really isn't the most obvious thing, particularly since they do, not resemble those animals at all. But when you start to think about their lifestyles and stuff, hippos, as I said, spend a large amount of time in the water, particularly during the day. You're very rare to find them out the water in the middle of the day. If you do, they're probably going to be sort of mud bathing themselves or something along those lines. Very rare to find a hippo out of the water during the day. That is because the sun, although they have a thick skin, I believe their skin is around up to 6 centimeters thick, it does not actually protect them very well from the sun. So what they do is they secrete this sort of like really red substance, which is why when you look at hippos, they kind of look a little bit reddish. That reddish substance is kind of like oozes out of their skin. It's like a sunscreen. It's the weirdest thing. So you're going to find hippos in mud, in the water, and always secreting this little red sort of sunscreen thing out of their skin, which is really weird, and I suppose one could say a little bit gross, but it works for them. It protects them very, very, very well. So whatever works for the hippo, that's all good. So I've spoken a bit about how they're super, super social animals in some senses, and they're not in other senses. And I think it is none more evident than the males holding onto those territories that they use to attract females. I do know that hippopotami, and particularly male hippopotami, can become very, very territorial. I did mention that they're none close to me, but just sort of literally about 15 kilometers down the road from where there's a place called Sikufle. It's sort of a flay, it opens out into the ocean, and there was an escaped hippopotamus who lived in that flay at one point. I believe he wasn't an aggressive man, but I know that the aggressive hippo, but there were a lot of people who were pretty afraid of him. And I also think that I read something the other day about Pablo Escobar's hippos that are still cruising around South America. I believe he took a couple of hippos from Africa over to his mansion at some point, and then obviously when he lost his power and moved on, those hippos escaped into the rainforest, and I believe that they are still roaming free and are believed to be quite dangerous. So yeah, fun tales about dangerous hippos out in the wild. Let's get back to talking about the reproduction of them, shall we? They are a vulnerable species, and we need to sort of make sure that there's more of them. And like I mentioned, with the loss of habitat, particularly in good spots of the river, less water for the males to attract good females to, there's less of the reproducing going on. And I do know that it's a long process. I think it's I think if I stand to be corrected again, but I think most young hippos will spend between 6 to 7 years with their mother. So it's a long time before a female hippo can stop that process again. So if that younger hippo survives. So yeah, it's a long process of looking after and caring for calves, etc. Which makes we need to conserve the hippos, guys. We need to conserve them. So I just want to get back to this habitat that I'm building in front of you now. You can still see that I'm still working on this riverscape here, and I really do like how it turned out. I managed to get the river looking pretty good. I managed to get some nice river plants down onto the bottom. I removed those bubbles in the end. They were annoying me. They kind of floated up into the air, which is a bit crazy. And I don't know if you saw while we were doing this, we hid the entrance to this habitat there on the rocks, just right next to the waterfall. So kind of hidden, and it looks like we had to change that later on. I had some problems getting the actual hippos into the habitat. I made the rock entrance too small. But it really does look good here. The mangrove trees, a lot of place for these hippos to wallow, and I'm sure you can start seeing the idea of this coming together here with a sort of long sort of viewing area or gallery for the guests to come down. We did end up, as I said, moving that top end of the habitat out a little bit to create more space, but we'll get back to that just now. Right, let's carry on talking about these hippos, shall we? I'm trying to think about other really cool things about hippos that I know. I've told you about them coming out at night to graze. They keep cool in the water. When they do come out at night to feed, they can travel really far. They can really travel up to, I think it's about 5 to 6 kilometers. They can travel out of wherever, away from whatever river they are currently parked in, looking for grazing opportunities, which is quite a long way, and which is probably one of the reasons why they clash with farmers so much, is that obviously they leave the rivers and they go graze in farmers' fields, and that ain't gonna make a farmer happy. So yeah, issues there. I do believe that the way they find their way back to water is they can smell their way back to water. So yeah, very interesting there. I just want to flip back to the screen. We did try and build a shelter here. I really like the initial style of it. I had to change it up. I want to try and do this again. So let's just try and remember how we did this. We did make it look really cool later on though. We had to build a walkway that goes over it, but that'll come on. It's a pity we did so much work here without managing to actually get everything sorted. I think this episode would have been a lot shorter if I had pre-entered the space that was required to build a suitable hard shelter and habitat for these guys. But nevertheless, it ended up looking good. Right, last thing about look at that, I've just done a Google. I was talking about hippos killing people. Hippos can actually kill, on average they kill around 3,000 people a year in Africa, which is crazy. 3,000 people a year is that, I'm pretty sure. Yep, that is more than lions. They are a very dangerous animal. Do not get on the wrong side of a hippo. Anyone, just remember that if you run into a hippo. More than that, just I know this is a really good fact around North. They can open their mouths up to 150 degrees wide, which is called a hippo yawn, and it's usually a really aggressive sign of aggression, or a display of aggression. And I believe that later on we actually put up a hippo statue with the good old 150 degree yawn. So yeah, we can have a look at that. Right here on screen you can see it all went wrong. We all went wrong there when we had to remove that initial hard shelter, expand the size of this habitat, give these hippos more water and more space. So this is what happened here. There's going to be a little bit of an interlude of redesigning this hard shelter, which became a walkway as well. I actually ended up really liking how it ended up looking. Walkway for the guests to get over, a little bit more of a view of their habitat. It actually ended up being really, really fantastic and gorgeous in the end. Right, so that's all I got for you today on the hippo fronts and me rambling on. This is an extra extended long episode, so please sit back, relax, enjoy the music, and I'll join you at the end of this time lapse, and we will take a little walk through the hippo habitat and take a closer look. I'll see you then. back, everyone, and I hope that you enjoyed that little time-lapse speed build there. It was quite a large one, and I'm going to try and keep this episode short and not going any longer than it needs to. So here is the gigantic hippo habitat that we built. It's out this side of the zoo, in case you hadn't recognized yet. So what's really nice about this, and let's actually get down to the level of the staff and guests, shall we? It's the way to do it. What's nice about this is that it all links into what is essentially our pygmy hippo habitat, which is over here. There they are, the beautiful ones. And if we scoot around here and up and over the bridge, we come down to the entrance. That is the underground viewing area for the pygmy hippos. And then over here we have a pip shot water, awesome over here, with a fountain running here as you come over the bridge, or the waterfall coming over the bridge. It's kind of cool. And then a lovely hippo statue And we're going to go down through this way. You go down through down this ramp. It's really cool. Down, lowering yourself down. I really like the way it like winds down like that. And then we've got this beautiful hippo habitat here, and right here you can see straight into the habitat. You've got a good view of them walking, and then look at this lovely walkway along here, this sheltered, shady walkway. It's going to be a cool spot here for the summer's day with some education signs, and you could scoot all along. Let's actually do it like this, and you'll have a look. Look at this over here. This is just great. What a spot here. Plonk yourself down on this bench. Have a look at that waterfall. The hippos will come by over here, which they do. They do that. We scoot along, and there you go. You can start to see a little bit more of the habitats up here. I wonder where they are. They're probably all lurking somewhere down there. And then up the giant set of stairs over here, and you come up onto this sort of plaza area over here, where we have some Mexican food. I think this is some gulpy slushies, and we have Cosmic Cow ice cream as well, so a really nice little spot up here to grab some food, lunch, a couple of benches. I think there's some benches there, there's a bench there. Ooh, he's missing an umbrella, look at that. We need to fix that one. Yeah, watch the hippos from up here, the do not feed sign. There's a nice mud bath down here as well. It's a really good spot to view the mud bath from, There they are, there's the hippos. Hello. This is the shelter here, the big shelters. This is part of the sort of exhibit that we had to really expand. Oh, hello, look, he's come up here. This is a great spot. I told you this is a great spot to be viewing the hippos. Whoa, that's a big roar. And they come out here to do some nice wallowing in that mud. Where are you off to, buddy? Oh, he's going to have a feed off the grazer here. So yeah, really nice spot here to actually watch the hippos from. And then further over, you can come out over this walkway here. There's a little bit more of the hippo habitat on this side, so they go and wallow in the mud down there and scratch on the posts. You can really look down over this water. They like splashing down in there. A lot of water here. I think there's one's playing with a toy there, it looks like. Yeah, and then you can go, ooh, we went the wrong way. And then you can go up into the this little pot over here, which takes us directly over the shelter, so the hippos sleep underneath our feet here. And again, from here, there's quite a nice little sheltered view down onto the habitat there. It looks pretty cool. And then out this way, you'll be able to look out over the rest of the savannah. And then we come down the ramp here. And we're back round to the normal spots where we started, so that goes down to the pygmy hippos, and right over here there is another viewing area over here which gives us quite a cool view of this end of the habitat. So yeah, all in all, a very quite a big habitat. I kind of like it. It's large. It's got some very interesting structures in it. I think the pathing is cool. I love the long area over here. This long area over here is just fantastic for the guests to walk through, and it just looks gorgeous with the waterfall here. And then I particularly really do like the way it all links together with the pygmy hippo habitat over here on the side of the world. And that, my friends, is how you do a combined hippo habitat. It actually all looks like it's one sort of big river here when you look at it. So yeah, really enjoyed that one. Please let me know in the comments what you thought of this episode. If you've got any recommendations or ideas of what animal to tackle next, that would be really great. I really want to start working on a big cat and a monkey area of the park, so ideas for which of those two to go for first would be great. Do we go for a cheetah? Do we go for a lion? Do we go for the baboons? Do we go for, I don't know. What do you guys want to see first? Let me know. And until next week, when we return with more Tankwa and Planet Zoo, please stay safe, wash your hands, look after yourself. I am the Beard, signing out.